So, I'm pretty sure that in your head, Chrono Trigger was always about, oh, we're going to travel through time and save the world. But that's only part of the story. Throughout their journey, Chrono and his friends keep rewriting history. Small changes that end up changing your entire perspective on things. A desert becomes a forest. A fallen kingdom changes course. A dead hero returns to life. Again and again, reality is reshaped until the future they once witnessed can no longer exist. But if every new future comes at the cost of an old one, what happened to everything they left behind? When most stories talk about the future, they treat it as something distant, something waiting to happen, a possibility, a warning, or a destination that may or may not be reached. Chrono Trigger does something very, very different. The first time Chrono arrives in 2300 AD, he finds a world where the cities have already fallen. You see an entire civilization that's already fallen apart. You walk through it. You experience it. It's real. The day of Lavos has already come and gone. Inside the domes, the last survivors struggle to endure what remains of humanity. They have names, memories. These people have their own history, their own lives. To them, this isn't a possible future. It's the present. And this is where I'm going with all of this, you know? It changes the whole conversation. Because once the future becomes a place you can visit, the rules start to feel different. Chrono is no longer trying to prevent a disaster he believes might happen. He's trying to erase a future he's already seen with his own eyes. A future he has walked through himself. A future filled with people who are already living in it. And from that moment onward, every decision the party makes serves a single purpose: to push history away from the future they witnessed. And they do it little by little, one intervention at a time. Take Fiona's forest. When we first arrive in 600 AD, that forest doesn't exist. There's only a desert, a wasteland, a place that's been losing its battle against time for years. Then, Robo stays behind. 400 years pass for him. He actually lives through them, working the land, planting trees, helping Fiona rebuild what was lost. For 400 years, mate. And when the party returns to the year 1000, everything is different. The desert is gone, and now there's a forest there instead. History changed, just like that. And that's what fascinates me about Chrono Trigger. The game rarely changes history through some massive, world-shattering event. Most of the time, it happens through small interventions, small corrections, tiny adjustments that slowly push reality in a different direction. But then there's Chrono. And this is where things start getting really weird. Because unlike the forest, this isn't some small change in history. Chrono dies. And I mean, he actually dies. Lavos awakens. The ocean palace falls apart. Chrono sacrifices himself. And that's it. He's gone. Simple. The party sees it happen. The story keeps moving. The world keeps moving. And the most important, history keeps moving. For a while, Chrono Trigger becomes a game where the main character is dead. And then, much later, the party finds a way to save him. And remember that word, save. Because that's exactly what happens. Not heal him, not revive him, save him. They go back to the exact moment of his death, and pull him out of history itself. Yes, that's actually what happens. They basically send a plaster doll to die in Crono's place. Honestly, maybe it even tastes the same. And here's the strange part. The only reason they're able to save Crono is because Crono died. That version of events has to happen first. The grief, the loss, the journey that follows. Without any of it, there is no rescue, no time egg, no second chance. Chrono Trigger keeps stacking paradoxes on top of each other. It's almost as if Chrono Trigger keeps building new versions of reality on top of the old ones, replacing them, one after another. At some point, something changes for the party. I'd say in the human mind, in the way you start to see things, the way you start to see time itself, in the way they experience it. Because by now, they're not just moving through time anymore. They're moving through it like it's a place. One moment they're in a prehistoric age, the next they're in a kingdom floating in the sky, then a ruined future, then back home for dinner. Past, present, future. It all becomes something you can walk through, something you can revisit, something you can leave behind and come back to whenever you want. And when time stops being a line, everything stops making sense in the same way. In short, there are no rules anymore. Time turns into a bloody playground. So we go back to 2300 AD, the future Crono first stepped into. The ruined world, the survivors, everything left after Lavos. And then Lavos is defeated. The world moves forward. Humanity survives. Life continues. But that version of the future, the one they originally saw, it doesn't exist anymore. It's just gone. And that's it. Just like that, they wipe out an entire timeline. And that's the part that always sticks with me. Because Chrono Trigger never really tells you what happens to an event once it's been replaced. So maybe that's the real shape of Chrono Trigger, slowly pushing one version of reality out of existence, until only the desired one remains. And yes, the Dead Sea in Chrono Cross shows us part of what happens to the future that was erased by Lavos. But it doesn't really show everything, just the final result, the end point. And that leaves you with a strange feeling when you think back on Chrono Trigger, because all those small adjustments, all those moments where history was nudged in a different direction, they don't seem to leave anything behind. They just vanish into the process. So in the end, the question isn't really about what happens to the future they saw in 2300 AD. It's about everything that had to be rewritten before that future could disappear.